Hi, everyone. How are you doing? This is Dr. Annette here, and just welcome to a professional learning session tonight. Today we're going to start chatting about and discuss ChatGPT, and you may have heard about this term recently in educational journals and websites, or even in your own classroom conversations with students. But today, what we're going to do is look at the pros and the cons, the benefits and limitations, as well as how this tool can be used effectively in the classroom. So grab your favorite beverage, that notebook, that Flair pen, and come on in. Welcome. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so I'm going to switch scenes here. And okay, so during this session, what we're going to do is to focus on ChatGPT. All right, and let me move a little screen around over here. Okay, so while you are listening to the presentation, what I'd like to know is where you are tuning in from, okay? And also, if you have any questions, go ahead and pop those questions into the comment box, and then I will come back and answer those questions later. And if you're watching this video on the replay, please hashtag replay and share your responses and ask your questions. And then I will definitely come back and check in with those questions later on. All right. So if you could also do me a sweet favor today, and if you could click that like and heart button as well, it definitely lets other people in our community know that we are live and that this is some important information that you would think that they are interested in knowing about. Okay, so as we kick off our professional learning series, there are three questions that we're going to focus on tonight. One is, what is ChatGPT? We're also going to look at the pros and the cons, the limitations and the benefits, right, of using this piece of AI or artificial intelligence. And we're also going to look at how teachers can use this tool in the classroom. Okay, so some of you may be wondering who I am, and I'm really quickly going to go over this part here. But my name is Dr. Annette Durbin. I have been an educator for more than 30 years in early childhood and elementary education. I am a national board certified teacher since 2005. I also have a doctorate in education. It's focusing on administrative leadership, teaching, and learning, but then I took the technology route. And I am also an Alaska State Writing Consortium. Literacy is my jam. It's one of the things I love to teach. And I also am an education consultant for public, private, and homeschool educators. Of course, I'm a wife, mom, and a grandma, sister, friend, and a colleague to hundreds of other thousands, really, of other educators. I enjoy traveling, family, and outdoor time. And I also enjoy music and crafts, and then taking all of that and creating digital content and courses and resources for educators. Okay, so that's some information about me. If you'd like to learn more about me, then go ahead over to my website, blueribbonteacher.com, and you'll be able to learn more about who I am and the work that I do. All right, my friends, so let's move on to our presentation tonight. What I want to do is to make certain that we are all on the same page when it comes to discussing these three terms. So the three terms are AI, ChatGPT, and also OpenAI. So first we're going to look at AI, which is also artificial intelligence, and it is something that is technology generated. So you may be wondering, what exactly is AI? Well, artificial intelligence is a branch of computer science that focuses on the development of computer systems that can perform tasks that typically require human intelligence, such as understanding natural language, recognizing images, making decisions, and solving problems. Now, you should also know that AI systems use algorithms and statistical models to analyze and learn from data, enabling them to make predictions or take actions based upon patterns and insights that are found in that data. Now, artificial intelligence technology includes machine learning, deep learning, natural language processing, robotics, and computer vision. So it's important to know that AI technology has no human characteristic to it. So what we're doing is using what we know as humans to input data into these learning machines. AI applications are found in a wide range of fields, including healthcare, finance, transportation, manufacturing, and entertainment. And now the goal of AI is to create intelligent machines that can augment or replace human capabilities in various domains and improve efficiency, accuracy, and decision making. So when I'm thinking about artificial intelligence, I'm thinking about those robots, those autopilot things, whether it's a vehicle or a plane, those vehicles that can park unassisted, or perhaps whenever you say, "Hey Siri," or "Hey Alexa," you are trying to get some additional information. Yes, of course, I just say that and it just pops up on my computer. All right, so now let's take a look at the next term, which is ChatGPT. So when we look at this term, what I want you to do is to separate the ChatGPT into two separate sections. I want you to think about this as almost a compound word. So the chat refers to conversation, and the GPT represents a generative pre-trained transformer. Some other resources like ChatGPT are Jasper and Education Copilot, and you may have heard of those. All right, I'm going to take off this thing. It keeps talking about what I'm doing here. Okay, so let's dig into some ChatGPT. All right, so ChatGPT is an AI language model that's based on the generative pre-trained transformer architecture, and that's developed by OpenAI, and we'll hit OpenAI next. Now, ChatGPT is designed to understand natural language and generate human-like responses to text-based queries or questions. Now, you should also know that ChatGPT is capable of generating text that resembles natural human conversation. It's crazy how that works. And can also be used for a variety of tasks such as language translation, answering questions, and even generating creative writing. Now, ChatGPT has been trained on vast amounts of text data and has learned to recognize patterns and relationships in language, allowing it to generate coherent and contextually relevant responses. However, the system has only been trained on data to the year of 2021. Therefore, the responses that are generated may not be accurate information for the year 22 and 23. So you may be familiar with ChatGPT being used in a wide variety of applications. And right now you probably might be thinking about those computer service chatbots, language learning tools, for example, like Google Translator, where you can talk in English and translate it to another language, or the Rosetta Stone, or also the virtual assistants that are available. All right, and finally, the third term that we want to focus on is OpenAI. And then I'm going to wrap all of this together for you. Okay, so OpenAI is an artificial intelligence research laboratory. Consists of a for-profit company and a non-profit organization. Now, this OpenAI was founded in 2015 by a group of leading technology executives and researchers with the goal of advancing AI in a safe and beneficial way for humanity. Keep that goal in mind. Now, you should also know that OpenAI has also developed several notable AI applications, including the ChatGPT that we're just talking about, including those language models. And the organization has partnerships with various technology companies and academic institutions to advance AI research and ensure its responsible and beneficial development. And remember, that is the goal. Unfortunately, people can take those things and do the negatives, so those cons, and so we'll talk about that tonight. Now, all right, so since we know a little bit about OpenAI, ChatGPT, and artificial intelligence, I want to kind of put all of these together. So this OpenAI is what researchers, what they're using is their platform to create ChatGPT or those language models, right? And they're using artificial intelligence as a way to create that ChatGPT, that Jasper, or that Education Copilot. Okay, so I hope that you can see how all three of these terms are related together in our purpose for learning about ChatGPT tonight. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over to share with you some information about how you can use this program that's called ChatGPT. Okay, so currently, what you should know is that this is a free resource. However, there is an opportunity for users to upgrade to Plus, and the upgrade to Plus. I don't have Plus. I don't use the Plus upgrade because I don't feel that I need it. However, the difference is, you whenever when someone is using the program free, then they are able to ask their questions and work on the chat gpt. However, if somebody has the paid or the upgraded version, then what they do, they will kind of like get priority as far as how many people are on the chat gpt, because sometimes there is a lot of traffic on this platform, and a person who's using it free, your responses that are going to be generated are a little bit slower than someone who has actually paid for it. Now, the program says that if you can, look at that and you want to do the payment, that is $20 a month for this program. And it does say that there are other capabilities that the paid user will be able to actually use, but it doesn't outline what those paid options are, so what you're going to be getting. So, but it's something that you can check out if you feel that you need to have the information instantly. But what I hope to share with you tonight is that even using that paid version, we do get information pretty quick. All right, so let's see what ChatGPT can do. So whenever you're going to this, you can go in your Google search bar and type in ChatGPT, and it'll come up with the website. And the website is actually ChatGPT, and then it is .openai.com, I think is how it works. But if you just simply go into your Google bar, you'll be able to actually type in ChatGPT and it'll come right up for you. Okay, so as an educator, we know that students are always, looking for new ways to do things. And ChatGPT is something that you may have been hearing about, especially in middle school and high school, or even in college area. So as educators, we want to know how students are using this so that we can be prepared to check their work to see what they are producing and whether it is authentic for the student, or if it's something that they've just kind of picked up off of ChatGPT or some other learning platform like this. All right, so what you're going to do is whenever you are using this program, or the student, right, you're going to come into this little chat box and you're going to type in a question. So for example, I'm teaching my students in 5th grade about the Civil War. We're learning about that. So a student has an assignment and they need to find out what are the causes. So if we type in, what are the causes of the Civil War? And then we hit enter. And I know my screen is a little short here, but what will happen is that it'll start generating. Now you'll see that there is this little box, the black blinking box, and that just means that it's thinking. Now, normally I already have my responses, so there must be some traffic on here tonight, and because I am using the free version, then that's the reason why it's taking a little bit longer. But here we go. Here's a response. So the Civil War in the United States was caused by a complex combination of factors, including, and it starts to list. So we have one about slavery, and we have states' rights. We also have the economic differences, and this is all about the Civil War. And we have political differences, and notice how it also gives an explanation. Territorial expansion, and it gives us a little summary. All of these factors contributed to the tensions that led to the Civil War. While slavery was the primary cause of the Civil War, the other issues played a significant role in exacerbating the tensions between the North and South. Now, I can tell you that if I assign this to my 5th grade students, I can tell by the language that's used that the student did not write this, because the vocabulary that I'm reading into this is not what a 5th grade student would speak. Okay, so what you want to do is whenever your students are using this information, you want to be thinking, is the student actually writing it themselves, or also is the information correct? Because anytime you get these responses back, you always want to go back through it and just double check that the information is accurate. Okay, so that is an example of what a student could do. So just be careful whenever students have homework questions, right? So you might be thinking, well, what can we do as educators to help the students so that way they are not just going to this website and doing your homework and copy pasting, and we'll talk about that. All right, so let's take a look at another one. Say, for example, I'm reading to my third or fourth graders, right? I'm reading a book, and that book is called Because of Winn-Dixie. So I'm going to ask Chat to write, whoops, got to spell correctly, write a summary about the book and Because of Winn-Dixie. And it's going to start to generate a response. See, that was quicker, okay? Now, Because of Winn-Dixie is a novel written by Kate DiCamillo that tells the story of a young girl named Opal Baloney who moves to a small Florida town with her father, a preacher, and it goes on to tell some more information. It talks about the relationship between Opal and Winn-Dixie and looks like some of the other characters inside the story. And then through the heartwarming and sometimes humorous interactions between Opal and Winn-Dixie and the townspeople, the novel explores themes of friendship, forgiveness, and acceptance. Now, this would be something like if you are running book clubs in your classroom and you haven't had an opportunity to read all of the books that the students are reading, or perhaps the student's doing a book report, then you could come on to ChatGPT and you could type in to give you a summary of the book, whatever the book title is, and then you'll be able to get something like this. And then you can read the student's response to see if, in fact, they are pulling in kind of those important elements to the of the book that are expected. Okay. All right. So we looked at using this in social studies, and we looked at using this in reading or ELA. So let's take a look at using this in science. Say you are teaching about energy and you want students to write a comparative essay about kinetic and potential energy. So you can say, please create a comparative essay between, or that's a comparative essay between kinetic and potential energy. Let's see what it does. Whoops, I need to click on this little arrow. Let's try that again. Click. There we go. Okay, and that was fast. So kinetic and potential energy are two forms of energy that play important roles in our daily lives. While both types of energy are related to motion, they differ in their characteristics and applications. And here they're going to discuss the kinetic energy, and now we're discussing the potential energy. So we're looking at the differences, and let's see what it does for the same. Here we go. While both forms are important, they differ in several ways. And we're still talking about some differences here. So in conclusion, the kinetic and potential energy are two forms of energy that are related, how they're the same, to motion, but differ in their characteristics and applications. Okay. All right. So there's some examples of how you can use this as a resource. Students can use this as a resource. Perhaps they are trying to do some research and find out some more information about the Civil War, or they're trying to find some more information about a science topic or a term or something, and they can come in here and type and find some information out. But as an educator, whenever you are assessing their work, you always want to double check that the work that's being submitted is in fact done by them and that they are the person who is authoring. Now, if I wanted to find out what resources the ChatGPT used to create or find this information, I can ask, what resources did you use to learn this information? Let's see what it does. Information. And fortunately, with this chat, whoops, I have to click over here. With the ChatGPT, it does remember what it did prior. So let's see. It says, my knowledge is based on a large pre-existing database. Okay, so they use encyclopedias, news articles, and more. And okay, so I'm going to say regarding the kinetic and potential energy, what resources did you use to compare and contrast? Let's see what it says. I do not use external resources in the traditional sense. Instead, I rely on a large database. Okay, so it's kind of using the same thing. So it doesn't actually say anything specific. However, I know I have done this before, and it's actually given me some articles and some journals and actual documents. So I'll try again here. So let's move on, and I have some other topics I'd like to see. So as you're looking at this from the student's perspective, I'm hoping that you can see how the students could use it in a positive way as well as a negative way, right? Because we know it's supposed to generate human-like responses, but we want to make certain that the students are using that. Now, most elementary students are not going to be using this AI. However, as I shared, I can totally see the middle and the high school students or even college students using this tool. So as educators, we need to be aware of how these students are using this tool, how we can teach students to use this tool appropriately, and how we can frame our lessons so we, as the educators, are getting accurate information to what the students actually understand. Okay, so now let's move into the next part, and I want to share how we can use this as teachers in the field. So you might be looking for some writing prompts. Maybe you're looking for writing prompts about the Civil War. Okay, so let's ask ChatGPT. We'll go back to the Civil War. Let's ask for what are 4 writing prompts? We'll just do 4, but we could ask for any number about the Civil War. Whoops. With a corresponding, let's put a grading rubric in here too. Grading rubric aligned to, and I told you I was teaching 5th grade. 5th grade Common Core standards. And you can actually input any standards. As an English language specialist, that is something I do. Is we in my state, in Alaska, we use WIDA, and so I will do some, type in an assignment and tie it into the WIDA standards. So let's see what we can come up with here. Whoops! If I click on the other one, okay, here we go. So 4 writing prompts about the Civil War with corresponding grading rubric that's aligned to the 5th grade Common Core. Okay, so writing prompt 1. And here is a grading rubric. And actually, to me, this is not technically a rubric. It's more of a scoring guide where you can get 5 points if you include the introduction. It doesn't discuss the type of introduction or that quality of the work. And honestly, a lot of people think that a rubric is essentially a scoring guide, and it's not. They're 2 different things. Okay, so then let's look at writing prompt 2. Write a letter from a soldier's perspective describing what it was like to fight in the Civil War. Use specific details and examples to help the reader understand the experiences of soldiers on both sides of the conflict. Now, this would be something where the student would have a better opportunity to write it personally, because the student will want to include some personal perspective into this, using the information from knowledge about the Civil War, but to tie that personal human element to the writing. Compare and contrast the advantages and disadvantages of the Union and Confederacy during the Civil War. Use evidence right here from primary resources and secondary resources, such as textbook or articles, to support your argument. And here, imagine you are a newspaper reporter for the Civil War. Write an article reporting on a major battle, such as the Gettysburg or how do I say that one? Antietam. Use specific details and quotes from primary sources to make your article informative and engaging. All right, so there are some examples. So as an educator, if you are coming up on the end of an assessment or a unit, or throughout the unit, you want to get an idea of what the students' perspectives are about the Civil War, you could just type in some writing prompts, and then the students could choose one of those writing prompts to write about. Okay? All right, so another thing that you can do, and as I shared with you before, I have used this to find lessons and align them to the WIDA standards. So let me see if I can do that. Align this assignment to, and it may or may not, to WIDA standards. We'll see what it does. Whoops. Okay, it's a set of standards as well as telling me more information about it for English language learners. To align the Civil War prompts and grading rubrics with the WIDA standards, we will focus on the can do. Oh, here we go. Okay, so these are some can do descriptors of what students can do. And this is at the 5th grade level. Nice. It talks about the listening, speaking, reading, and writing components. Perfect. All right. And this is if you're not familiar with the WIDA standards, there are actually 6 levels of proficiency, 1 being the least proficient and 6 being in mastery. Here we go. If they're doing level 4, this is good. And let's see what, oh, here's a level 2. So we have a level 3, a level 4, and a level 2. I'm curious if we'll do actually it's writing prompt 2, sorry. And then writing prompt 3, and here's at a level 5. Nice. So it's actually giving me some specific things that I can look at. So I can type in writing prompts for the Civil War 5th grade, right? And then I can also ask for some standards that are aligned to WIDA. Now let's come in here and see, our question initially was that it was already aligned to the Common Core standards. I'm going to go back up in here. And okay, so I didn't actually see that the Common Core standards were listed, but let's go ahead and ask that. What common state, let's do state Common Core, or Common Core, state standards apply to this Civil War writing assignment. Okay, let's see what it says. Here we go. Writing prompt 1, 5th grade. Remember it. And one of the nice things too is that it remembers the information. So the ChatGPT remembers what you have already put in. So that way you can continue to ask questions to get clarification on anything that's related in that specific area. Cool. So it's giving me the specific Common Core standards that I can use to apply to that writing piece. So if I haven't had a chance to look up those Common Core standards for the writing piece, right here I can come in and ask ChatGPT, and it's going to pull up an assortment of writing Common Core standards. Excellent. I love that. Okay, so can you see as an educator how this is a very, very saves time? As you know, it's going to give you some more time so that you can focus on assessing the student's work and not all that prep work or research and trying to match and align your work with your standards. So it is like a time saver, and I love that. Okay, so let's look now at something that's totally not related to the curriculum, but let's think about maybe, you're pressed for time and you have to create an email really quick to get it out to parents about parent conferences. So let's say to create an email to parents telling about upcoming parent conferences on what's today? March 29th. Let's do March 31st, 2023. Yeah, we're really late, right? Okay, so let's see what it does. And I need to click that button. Okay, so we're looking for an email. Subject. Oh, you got your subject line. Very good. Okay, dear parents and guardians, I hope this finds you well. I'm writing to remind you of the upcoming conferences on the 31st. Excellent. And it tells us about what the parent-teacher conference is. And all right, the confirmation slip that's being sent home. Open door policy. You're welcome to come. Good. Is it going to include a time frame? Okay, so I did not see a time frame included in this one. So what I might go back and do is write in that time frame. The really cool thing is that you can actually copy and paste this into your email document, and then you can also make adjustments to it. So that way it definitely articulates what it is that you want to say. All right, so let me see. Oh, I know. Maybe you're looking to, if you're teaching like 2nd grade, right? And you want to create a lesson plan on a book. And maybe you have a substitute coming in and you're just like, oh my gosh, I need something that, you find out that day you have a meeting and you're having a person come in and you just want to have them read a book and do an activity with the kids. So you can say let's do please. Sometimes we're really nice and use the word please. So please create a lesson plan for the book Corduroy. Let's align it to 2nd grade Common Core standards. ADS. right, and here we go. Let's see what it does. Here we go. So here it is. And then you can definitely just, print this out, or you can actually just leave it up on your computer, and you could have your sub just kind of look at the computer and see what the idea of the lesson is. So here we go. It's tied right to the writing and the reading standards. And there's also some speaking and speaking and language standards. So they're participating in collaborative, and it's from an EL specialist position. You want to include that reading, writing, speaking, and listening, and that definitely includes all of that in this lesson. All right, so they'll participate. They'll look for some key details and events in the story. So this lesson is created based upon those standards that we were just looking at. Here's your materials, so you can get those quickly, and it tells you what to do. Oh, this is like a day 1. So let's see. It looks like it's going to be over 2 days at least. Yep, day 2. All right. Well, isn't that cool? So you can even come back. The substitute works on it the first day, and then you can come back and work on it again. Oh, and here's a day 3. Wow. Now I have typed in some different things to get lessons before, and I've not ever come up with a multi-day lesson like this. So they're very cool. And it looks like it was typing and it stopped, and that just most likely is that there's more traffic, and it might do like an error. So let's see what it comes up with. I'm thinking it's probably going to do a little error, but that's okay. I think you get the idea of what you can do with that. And perhaps that you need a quiz for this book. So let's say create a quiz for this book, and let's see what happens. Because now you're ready to assess. So here you go. Remember, I told you that it remembers what's happened before. Here it's creating a quiz, and you could easily just copy and paste this into a Google form if you want it to be graded, because at the end, I'm hoping it gives us an answer key. And that makes creating a quiz quick and easy, so you don't have to be pulling the information from your brain. You can actually look at these and do that. And then, of course, I don't know if it's going to give us like a short answer response, but you could include some short answer responses as well. And let's see. Oh, here's the answer key. All right. So what I would do is go back and add some short answer responses, and definitely for the older grades too, but we like to start teaching them when they're younger. Okay. So, all right. So you can simply ask GPT to do a variety of different things. You can create assignments and emails and newsletters. You can ask a question to find out standards that align to your lesson. You can also, type in a question, and then it'll continue to build up on that because it remembers what it has said before. So there are so many different things that you can do. Let me see. Let's ask them to write the second grade standards. We're still talking about corduroy, second grade standards. Let's see if it will do in 3 to 4 let's just say I can statements. Let's see if it will do that for us. Because then on your report, there we go. So these are the standards that we were looking at before, and the standards for reading. So these are what I can tell a story. I can describe how the characters respond in major events and challenging. Here's 3 I can statements for the writing, 3 for the other reading. And here we go, speaking and listening. I was thinking of speaking in language, but it's speaking and listening standards. And here's 3 more I can statements. Yay. Wow. This really gets me excited. So the chat box is remembering all of the other information that we've been asking because it was a new topic, right? We're not talking about that Civil War, that science standards anymore. Okay. Let's ask this question about assessments. So what formative assessments, formal and informal, can I use to check my students' understanding of the standards? Let's see what it says. So we're actually asking it to give us some assessments. Students, ENTS. Okay, let's see what it does. Okay, so here we go. Here are some formative assessments, and informal and formal. There we go. How sweet is that, teachers? Isn't that awesome? We're going to ask it to do one more thing. Look at that. And it does the writing. So it does the reading, the writing, and I bet you it's going to come up with the speaking and listening as well. Look at this. All right, so, yep, and does the speaking and listening. Okay, so now, remember those I can statements? So given, we're still talking about the same book, right? Given your I can statements, what lessons can I teach to help my students, right? Say they didn't do very well in the writing part of these assessments. I can teach to help my students write their best personal narratives. And let's see what they gives us. Help your students. Okay, here we go. In second grade, remember, still talking about second grade, and it's giving us some steps. Nice. All right, so gosh, I hope that you can see all of the different things that you can do with everything, right? This is fabulous. Okay, and I'm going to ask it one more question about those resources, because I know that I've had it come back with the actual resources for me to use, but it could have been just the way I asked that question. All right, so those are some great steps that the teacher could do to help the students write their best personal narrative. Okay, so let's say, please provide the sources you used for your responses with websites. Whoops. All right, so let's see. It still gave me the same kind of thing. Okay, well, honestly, I gotta tell you, it will give you those actual resources. Okay, so does let me know what you're looking for. Okay, all right. So it didn't do it for that book, but I know that I've done it before. It's popped right up, just different topic. All right. So my friends, gosh, I hope that you have found that beneficial. Lots of fun to use the ChatGPT for students and for teachers, but it's important that we work with students so that they know how they're able to use this. Okay, so I'm sure that your brain is thinking, wow, there are lots and lots of benefits to using this, possible some limitations, right? But do you have any more questions? Right, you could even go on to ChatGPT and have some fun with it. Write those questions in the chat box below with this video, and I'll come back and answer those questions. And be thinking about how your students can use ChatGPT to get started with research for an assignment, right? How about teachers? They can use this for help with instruction, to help with those letters, to save some time, to help look for those writing prompts, to help differentiate instruction. So this AI resource, my friends, can be very powerful when used appropriately. However, we all know that things can be used inappropriately. Now, this intelligence is being generated by OpenAI to be something that is positive and beneficial for people. However, we do need to be aware that it could be used inappropriately. All right, so let's go back to our presentation and let's take a look at, let me go back to the presentation and let's take a look at some of those limitations that we have as well as benefits. So let's discuss this information. And first, what I want to do is take a look at those limitations. Okay. All right. So there are 10 limitations that I have here. And the first one is a lack of personalization. So ChatGPT is not capable of providing personalized feedback or tailored teaching to individual students. All right. And we did talk about how this is a computerized system. It's a technology based, so it's not going to have that component of human interaction that makes it personal. Okay. So let's look at another one. The other one is limited interactivity. And yes, ChatGPT is not as interactive as human teachers. You can actually type in the chat box about, say that you're an English language learner or you're doing an interview and you want to have a conversation and answer questions. If you're doing an interview, you can actually answer the questions and then it'll give you some feedback on those questions, especially if you ask the system to give you some feedback. If you are using this as a language support tool for like an English language learner, then you can ask ChatGPT to give you some information as far as your response so it can make some corrections for you. Okay, so Interesting. Um, but because it's not as interactive as human teachers, it can limit the level of engagement and participation from students. All right, so let's look at the next one. So next, a limitation is there's emotional intelligence. Okay, so ChatGPT, it lacks emotional intelligence because it's not a person, right? And cannot read nonverbal cues or respond with empathy, which can be important for building rapport with students. And let's look at the next. So limited creativity. ChatGPT is limited to the data and programming it has been trained on. Because remember, we talked about how it goes up to 2021 and there's a little bit of 22, 23, but it's not as accurate. Therefore, it means that it may not be able to provide creative or original solutions to problems. All right, the next one is limited subject expertise. And again, we talked about the time frame and how people are entering information, right? ChatGPT may not have the same level of subject expertise as human teachers, which can limit its ability to answer complex questions or provide deeper insights. Now, we've been talking about English language learners. There are some language barriers. ChatGPT may struggle to understand the language or the accent of some students, particularly those who speak English as a second language. Now, as an example for this, what I'd like to share is that I have in one of the schools that I work in, I have students who are Russian, but they speak Ukrainian. Or actually, I'm sorry, it's backwards. They are Ukrainian, but they speak Russian. But they are also speak Ukrainian as well. So sometimes whenever they speak or whenever they write, they will write with a Russian and a Ukrainian words kind of mixed in together. And if you think about someone who is speaking Spanish and someone who speaks English, and it's that same person, and sometimes they speak a Spanglish, you've heard of that term. That's the same kind of thing that's happening with these Russian students. And as a result, ChatGPT cannot understand that. It gets confused and it won't understand those nuances. All right, so another limitation is technical difficulties. So the use of ChatGPT may be impacted by technical difficulties such as internet connectivity issues or software glitches, which can be disrupting their learning process. And you can see that tonight where it was a little bit slow. And then that one on, I think was the Civil War, actually didn't even finish generating the response. So because there could have been a software glitch, or it could have just been, I didn't pay for this software program. All right, another limitation is privacy concerns. Now, the use of ChatGPT in a classroom may raise privacy concerns for students who may be uncomfortable sharing personal information or data with an AI system. One of the things that I highly encourage you to do at the beginning of the year, I think it's the month of October, it is Digital Citizenship Month. And I have some other trainings on my channel here that actually focus on being a good digital citizen. And I've also recommended some books that can be read to students about being a good digital citizen. So we always teach our students never to put anything private on a device, no matter what it is, right? We always let parents know about it if it's asking you weird questions and things. So that's just a way to protect ourselves. So this is something that we definitely want to do with our students. Okay, so going back over that conversation would be definitely paramount. Also, limited feedback. ChatGPT may not be able to provide detailed feedback or explanations for incorrect answers, which can limit its effectiveness in helping students learn. And finally, number 10, lack of human connection. So the use of ChatGPT may create a distance between students and the teacher, reducing the sense of community and human connection in the classroom. All right. So those are some of the limitations of using the ChatGPT. And below in the show notes, I will post a link to an additional resource that is a free resource that goes into additional tips and best practices for using ChatGPT. So help not essentially eliminate the limitations, but definitely help to work with the students, the teacher, to kind of lessen the limitations. All right, now, my friends, let's take a look at the benefits of ChatGPT. All right, so as an AI language model, there are several potential benefits using this program. Here are some of those pros. All right, so you have increased accessibility. ChatGPT can be accessed by students anytime, anywhere. It's ubiquitous, and it provides a greater flexibility and access to educational resources as long as there is an internet connection. Additionally, ChatGPT can personalize or adapt to an individual student's needs, providing personalized learning that can cater to their specific strengths and weaknesses. Now, for this, I want you to be thinking of like those different learning programs that you may be using in your classroom. For example, in my classroom, I use Imagine Learning, and we also use Lexia. Our math program has a personalized pathway, computer-based learning for students as well. So I'm thinking of those types of ways to use our artificial intelligence. Okay, now let's take a look at number 3, quick responses. ChatGPT can respond to questions and provide feedback quickly. We saw that without the need for students to wait for a human teacher's response all the time. Okay, and then next one is consistency. ChatGPT can provide consistent answers to questions, and we did see that tonight whenever I was asking for some resources. It came back pretty consistent with the resources that it builds its information from. And it does ensure that all students receive the same level of instruction and guidance. All right, so it's important as students and teachers that whenever we do use this resource, that we do take a look at the responses that are generated, and then do some editing to determine what is correct and what is not correct. The one thing too to know is that it's very interesting. As a doctor, I'm always looking for the sources and looking to cite that citation because of plagiarism, right? And we always teach that in our students about plagiarizing. However, everything that's in the ChatGPT is not going to fall under those citation areas. Which is something that students need to be aware of. However, if you do ask the system to give you those resources, then students can go to those resources, teachers can go to those resources that ChatGPT used to generate their response in order to get that citation. So I hope that's helpful. Another one is number 5 is unlimited resources. Right, because ChatGPT has access to vast amounts of data and resources, providing students with a wealth of information and knowledge it's there, right? It's just all over the internet, all over the information that's being input into technology. And another one, which we talked a little bit about tonight, is the multilingual capabilities. So ChatGPT can support multiple languages, making it a valuable tool for students who speak English as a second language. All right, we did talk a little bit about that tonight. And another one is objective grading. Now, ChatGPT can grade assignments objectively, removing potential bias or subjectivity in the grading process. Now, what you can do is actually input information into a program, and then you can put in different responses that are acceptable, and then you'll be able to have that grade. So one of the things that you can do is to take a piece of writing and put it into ChatGPT, and you can ask it to grade on a specific standard, or you can even ask it to write, like if you have, I'm just thinking of my English language learners or students that struggle in reading, if you have a 3rd grade level piece, but you need it to be written a little bit, like at a 2nd grade level, you can ask the ChatGPT to translate that information to a 2nd grade standard, right? And so that way the students can still read it, but it's a little bit easier to read. So it's pretty cool. All right, improved engagement. So ChatGPT can use the interactive tools and techniques to keep students engaged and motivated, making learning more fun and enjoyable. Now, I don't know about you, but I could sit and just spend not a couple hours, but definitely a good 30 minutes, just kind of at least 30 minutes, just kind of asking those questions if I'm working on a project, and I'm kind of going through like a little rabbit trail of, well, give me this and then give me that, and to see what it does, kind of like what we did tonight. And then the next one is enhanced learning outcomes. So ChatGPT can provide students with additional support and resources that can help to enhance their learning outcomes and academic performance. And I think you could see that tonight. And then finally, number 10 is time saving. And I know you could see that tonight. So ChatGPT can save teachers time by providing automated grading, feedback, and other administrative tasks, freeing up more time to lesson planning and other activities. One of the things that I didn't share with you tonight, but you could actually do it, is to ask the ChatGPT to give you a rubric for a specific standard. And I know, like, we typed that in before, and I was hoping to get a chart. Maybe you could do like on a scale of 1 to 4, and it can give you an actual chart of a rubric. So it's like, here's a standard. This is what a 1 looks like, a 2, a 3, and a 4, compared to a scoring guide. And you should know that there are differences between those two. Perhaps I just didn't ask my question in a way that the chat bot would understand. So, um, but anyways, I hope that I'm going to come back to me full screen here. All right, my friends. So I hope that you have a better understanding of what this new technology concept is all about. You may be thinking of how this can be used in your classroom. Now, in the free resource that I mentioned that I'm going to put down below for you, I have gathered additional tips and best practices on using this technology tool in the classroom. And so I'll post that link there for you. Okay, so one of the things that you can focus on with students, just a little recap, is that students can use tools like ChatGPT to get ideas on starting their research into a topic, right? Perhaps taking that big topic, narrowing it down to a smaller topic that's more specific. Of course, answering questions and writing is another way to use this tool. Therefore, as teachers, just caution you right here, you will need to craft your assignments in a way that requires students to demonstrate a connection with the content. Now, additionally, teachers can demonstrate or can determine when and where those assignments are completed to ensure student knowledge is assessed. And because of the data in artificial intelligence, it takes out the human component, which is the ability to personalize text. And that is definitely a limitation. We've discussed that. And the information that is shared, remember, it only goes up to about the year 21. So that's another limitation. And therefore, whenever teachers are designing assignments, keep those things in mind. So that way the students are doing their work and making a personal connection to it. Okay. All right, so now we also talked about the teachers, how the teachers can use this tool. So teachers, you can use this tool, ChatGPT, as one strategy in your effort to teach students how to think critically and write effectively by using writing samples from ChatGPT in a comparative or an analysis lesson. Simply typing in a question and then tying that resource to a grade level, it will help provide writing samples for that grade level, and students can then examine those. Teachers can use this tool to provide instructional ideas as a time saver resource to differentiate instruction, begin researching a topic, updating and elaborating your current lessons that you have or current units of instruction, creating grading rubrics or scoring guides, and then also communications like emails and newsletters. So there are just so many different ways that educators can use this platform, ChatGPT. And by training the tool, right, there are endless ways to use this resource. Okay, so we are coming to the end of this professional learning session, and tonight's focus was on the topic of examining the limitations and benefits, thinking about ways and that students and teachers can use this resource for learning. Okay, let me go back over here to my slide really quick. And there we go. And then also, what are the pros and cons of the resource? Okay, there is so much more to cover in this topic, so be on the lookout for additional professional learning sessions. All right, now if you have any other questions, please drop those into the box below, into the comment section. Make certain that you follow me on social media, and these are the different places that I am there. Just simply follow either Blue Ribbon Teacher or Annette Durbin, and I would love to be able to connect with you as well. Also, go to my website, blueribbonteacher.com, and you can see it there at the bottom of the screen. And there's a bunch of wealth of information that's there that support educators and the work that they do. All right, so if you, my friends, are loving this training, hashtag replay. If you're watching a replay, drop those questions and comments, snag that free resource that I have in the show notes. And yeah, let me know any other thoughts or anything else you'd like to be trained up on. And I will do my best to create a training for that. And I hope to see you again. All right, have a great day. Take care. Bye.